everyone. So myself, Lily, and Winnie are here from the CRM product team. And we're so excited to be talking about custom CRM cards and what that means for you all. And we really want this to be an interactive session. So let me go ahead. By way of intro, my name is Katherine Man. I am a group product manager here at HubSpot. I've been here for just hit 4 years, which is very wild. And I've had a very special focus, particularly on CRM UI customization. So this is a topic that I live and breathe, and I can't wait to learn from you all. So I'll hand it over to Lily.
Hey everyone, my name is Lily Rosenbloom. I'm a senior product manager here at HubSpot. I've been here just over 3 years, and like Katherine, have been living in the world of the CRM and UI customization that entire time. And I'm coming to you bright and early from Los Angeles, California. I will pass it off to Winnie.
Hi everyone, Winnie Hien here, product manager in the CRM as well. I actually came over from strategic integrations before, so I think I did an event with Kyle and Deanna on the NetSuite and Dynamics integration in the past. But working on CRM and specifically on playbooks and process is a new one that I'm tackling. So I have a bunch of questions on that. And coming from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Great. So Winnie didn't know I was putting a little birthday hat on her, but it is her birthday. So if everyone wants to give her a shout in the chat, also calling out that she chose to spend it with you instead of on a beach. So that's how passionate she is about it and wants to be here. All right. In terms of format, I just wanted to give a very quick overview in terms of the features that we're referring to when I talk about custom cards. We actually want to use a lot of this time to learn from you all. So of course, you're welcome to pause us at any moment for questions. Feel free to put them in the chat. Kyle will make sure that we see them. But I'll probably just spend a little bit of time going through the features. We would love to see kind of reverse demos from you all. So if anyone is brave enough, we are going to look for volunteers to share your screen so that we can learn from you in terms of what you've built, maybe any pain points that you have and have come across. And then both Lily and Winnie have prepared a set of questions that we would love to ask you all. So I will jump into this. Let me go ahead and make this full screen. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick voiceover in terms of what we're looking here is our team has spent the last 3 years really unlocking customization across the CRM for you all. And so what you're seeing here is the newly released unified record page editor. What this allows you to do is go in and have complete control over what your teams are seeing. We've seen many, many years of feedback from you all. There's just too much clutter. So you can either choose from cards that we've already pre-created. What you're going to see now is this is our card creation flow where you can go ahead and create a custom card. But custom card creation is all about giving you all as admins the control to really curate your views for the teams. And you're going to see here that it's very easy to use in terms of there's drag and drop. Earlier, I had removed some of the cards to remove the clutter. When I go ahead and save and exit here and bring you back, you're going to see that the changes were then reflected on the record page. And so the main reason I really want to bring this up is we're trying to spread awareness in terms of the fact that this is out there and available. It's actually available to all tiers. So at a free and starter level, you can go ahead and customize your default view. If you have Pro and Enterprise, you can do team views, and then you can even at Enterprise add up to 4 custom tabs on here. And I know a lot of you have created really, really amazing things so far, but there's also a whole bunch of people who are not quite aware that you're able to go and do this for your team. So just putting this out there kind of as a PSA to let you know that this functionality is available. If I go to the, sometimes this replays, 1 second. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay. In terms of the locations where you can do this from, we are increasing the number of locations where you can go ahead and customize it. The first place that we started was really on the record, and that's because that's where a lot of you all are creating your processes. It is still the most used page at HubSpot, and so this seemed like the best place to open up that customization. So all of the record middle column and now both the right and left sidebar are available in that page editor. And then Lily's team went ahead and opened that up as well in preview sidebar. And so preview sidebar is like our mini record view. And this is the one that gets triggered on a panel, whether you're on the index page or many other pages. And you now have full control as well over what cards are showing there. I think the most recent location that this has been opened up in is we've worked with a lot of internal teams. So for those of you who use our customer support products in the help desk, for example, that sidebar as well, we've unlocked that customization. And kind of the features I'm calling out here is that the state we want to get to is that whenever you see your CRM information, is you kind of get excited because you realize that we've opened up the same consistent features there. You will have a page editor where you can kind of go and reorder and add and remove cards. You can add either our standard cards or create custom cards. And I'm not going to spend too much time here, but for those of you who are a bit more technically savvy, you'll also know that we've opened up our app cards, and those are the UI extensions. And so not only have we just kind of completely opened up the canvas in which you all can create things, we've given you all a lot of tools to make sure that you can go in and create the views that your teams want to see. So I'm going to leave that there just in terms of the features and functionality. Definitely let me know. I see there's some questions. We can circle back to those in a little bit. But I'm going to actually switch over and hand the platform over to you all. So I guess maybe if I'm not sure where we're going to see Kyle, if you can help me with the hand raise function, but I'm actually going to look for 3 volunteers, 3 very brave volunteers, to see if you all would mind sharing your screen and showing us what you've built, because we would love to hear kind of how your experience has been and anything we can improve. So the way this will work, oh, perfect. I think we have our first volunteer from Steven. We'll probably, oh, it disappeared, Kyle. Steven, you can request it again.
I think we've got, wow, this is, you're all very fast.
There's a lot. So
I was going to say, it may take a couple moments for people to find the page they want to share, but okay, I think we've got plenty of volunteers here.
Perfect. I saw Steven first. So Steven, if you would like to be our brave first, I would love to give a couple minutes and just give us a demo, and Lily and Winnie and I will probably just ask some questions here. I think Steven,
there we go. I am, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let me share my screen.
We might be hit with permission issues, I just realized.
Let's see if this works.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Okay, so this is actually a demo. We don't have a customer named Fancy Pants. It's just happened to be that way. And I think this is what you guys were talking about. So what we did is I did a couple of different things. So we have a lot of buy sites. So I created a buy site, a section, a card here for their buy site information for like catalogs. I also wanted to know more about the deals our salespeople are putting in. We're very, very sales heavy. And so I have, whenever they put in deals, I make required fields that they have to put in the category and the product. And so I created a deal stat page so I can see how many deals this particular customer has, what are we positioning, what are we winning, and what are we losing on our top things here. So that's been very, very helpful on what we can do on that. And the other thing within deals, I created a deal sample page here. So or demos. So when we're doing demos of products, this is a required field. So when they say we're going to put in demos or samples, instead of just throwing samples into this bottomless pit, I can actually track the information and get it back to our manufacturers that are giving us samples, thereby allowing us to continue to feed the beast. So those are some of the things that we've done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I guess, how was that experience for you building with our custom cards?
Great. I was actually on vacation. So my daughter says, "Are you working?" And I said, "No, I'm having fun." And she's like, she kind of looks at me. I'm like, "What do you want me to do? Scroll Instagram?" So I actually did it sitting in the cabins, drinking a beer, and I created all of them. And it was very, very easy. We're very much of a fast learner. We've only had HubSpot since October of last year. So it was very easy for me to go through and do it.
That's amazing. And as you were building with the cards, are there any missing or visualizations that you wish that you had?
No, not yet. Right now we're still putting data in, so I'm getting that feedback, and I'm able to see it. I did this probably about a month ago, but no, not that I know of yet.
Got it. Thank you so much. All right. Daniel, you were so excited that in addition to the hand raise, you stood up. So would you like to go next?
I just wanted to show the inbound.
Yeah, that's
Still the event for this year.
that's incredible.
It just happened. I mean, it wasn't planned. It just happened that I took it like out of the closet this morning.
That's funny.
But anyway, let me share my screen and show you my use case. I was mentioning it in the Q&A as well.
Mhm.
Basically, I have a client that has a SaaS application, and we are synchronizing like their customer usage into HubSpot into a custom object. And what he wants to see is he wants to see at company level in the overview or in the middle column cards various usage data. And currently we're using like association cards to show different data like company usage, calculated 7-day usage or 30-day usage. This is pretty straightforward, just pulling data from that custom object and listing it into this card. But we also wanted to showcase this kind of usage highlights that includes like, I don't know, the first or the last usage or consumption day, total consumption, consumption split by product families, for example. But this data is actually brought in from at the company level, not from the company usage, not from the custom object, sorry. And another thing that we wanted to actually showcase, but we ran into the limitation of it, is to have a company usage report like this. But this report, I mean, at least last time that I checked, like 1 week ago, you could only add single object reports into this area. And if you add a company report, you cannot actually bring in like the association data from that from the custom object into the company report. So the question is how can we get like maybe a custom report here that will allow us to build a usage report, basically custom object data, but that is filtered at company level so that we can put it in like every company page and show that specific usage for each company. This is actually showing the total usage across all companies because it's not filtered as such. But this is like one of the use cases that I'm playing with in terms of using these custom cards.
Got it. Thank you for sharing, Daniel. Yep, that is a known limitation. We are actually partnering with the reporting team where we'd like to bring in the full power of the reporting framework right into the record. So that is a known limitation, I guess. Are there any other surface areas within the HubSpot product that you'd be interested in opening up customization to on top of already the record? I saw you on the index page, for example. Is that a location you would want custom cards?
Probably it could help. I think that let's say another challenge that that I have right now is, for example, the sidebar cards and bringing data there from third-party integrations. Like at the moment, you can do that by using a tool like make.com, for example, create a JSON structure and bring in, let's say, data from like a Jira ticket. I was thinking, what would be an easier way to do something like this by actually using maybe data from data sync applications or integration. That might be interesting to build custom cards based on the data that you actually sync from third-party integrations.
Yes, absolutely. And when you think about building that way, would you expect to build that card in the UI?
Ideally, yeah, if possible. I mean, if I can map that custom data point through the integration, like through the data sync, yeah, ideally, yeah.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel. I think we're looking for one more volunteer.
Lots of hands.
How do I see the hands, Kyle?
I don't really know how to tell you how to see the hands. I'm just gonna
Okay,
put people on stage. We've got a few people here. Michael was here first, but we now, oh boy, we're having a flood of requests. I'm just bringing everybody on.
We can do a couple more too. Why don't you go ahead and choose one or two more?
Danilo, you have your camera on. You wanna?
Okay,
wanna
so
go?
I'll try to go fast to not take as much time. So Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So right now, I have been working with HubSpot for several years, and since this year, I'm now putting together a company. And I have here a test account where I'm trying to build a demo for a real estate use case, but this can be leveraged for many other industries. But pretty much what I have here created 2 custom objects, one for example, for units like villa, apartments, houses, and etc., and one for project, which is like the building, the condos, and etc. But the use case that I'm putting here together, so I have what I'm calling matchmaker, and here I have some specific properties that I'm leveraging this from lead, and then when I convert the lead, I'm bringing the same data to a deal. So here it's pretty much like whenever I'm talking to a buyer, they're gonna tell me like the minimum budget, the maximum budget, then I have an average. So if they want to buy like a house, like using bank financing or buying cash, where they want to buy, many bedrooms, if they, for example, they have already identified a property. So I have a couple of filters, and this is using a deal properties. So my goal here is like whenever I updated here, even I'm trying to use like some of the development cards. So this is, I'm struggling because I'm still learning, but my goal is like whenever I update those fields, I want this next card here. This is just dummy data, so that's provided by the HubSpot example card. But I want this to update, for example, like a filter, because I'm having a custom object, for example, for the units, for the properties. And whenever I updated this, I want this to update saying, hi, you have in your stock these and these properties. Which one you want the customer? And whenever, let's say that I click associate or I click an offer, it means that now I'm taking one of the products, one of the properties that is available in my stock, and then I will associate this deal. And when I click here in the project unit, I'm gonna see all associated records, and from these I can create codes, or I can give visibility for my sales team, or regardless like how my sales process is. But I'm pretty much to figure out like this matchmaker in a way that I can leverage this for the people that are selling. And if I can make this happen, I think this is going to be useful for many industries. But that's where I am now within the cards. And so I think it's amazing like what it can build with cards.
Got it. Thank you so much, Danilo. So it sounds like the request you had was have one card update another card.
Exactly. And even like, for example, if I can use filters, so I can create cards based on filters across objects. And whenever, for example, such values matches the filters for another object, then I can refresh the result.
Got it. I guess similar question of if are there any other additional locations that you wish we could open up customization for you?
For me, I think the homepage, if we can do some customization of the homepage, this will add a lot of value, because then I can customize and create like a control panel for any company. And whenever they log in, they can see the critical information first. I think it would be like super sweet.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, I think we have time for one more, and thank you so much for the engagement. I apologize if I'm not doing this in the order that you raised your hands. I cannot see, so I'm gonna go with what I have on my screen. And Shubham, also correct my pronunciation, but since you have your video sharing, would you like to be our last presenter here?
Yeah, thank you, Katherine. So I have 2 use cases actually. One, I don't have any to share because I left the company. So I had made a solution. The question is from, I was working in healthcare company, and at that moment the HubSpot is not HIPAA compliant, but luckily we have HIPAA compliance now. So in that use case, actually, they wanted to see information in HubSpot, but they do not want to store information in HubSpot. Okay, so they wanted to don't want to store, so I cannot actually help because I cannot show anything which are not available in HubSpot. Okay, so that's where I use a HubSpot custom CRM card. So I build it from HubSpot CLI, and I put in information from that tool to HubSpot APIs. And yes, it works actually, and it will not actually storing in HubSpot, but it actually showing in HubSpot. Okay, and the another use case I'm still working on that. I can share that. So the ask is for this project is in my company, the sales rep actually facing an issue like the customer is actually changing their company names. Okay, so let's say we have a company name is ABC. Now the company name had renowned or acquired by someone else, so it's now DEF. Okay, so the sales rep is working on ABC is not able to identify where is my company. Okay, and we cannot store information. Historical we can see, but if a sales rep having a more than 10 companies, he can't go to every company and check the history of the company name. Okay, that's the thing actually. So that's why I have a solution. Like I created one HubDB table. Okay, in HubDB table I'm storing through HubSpot APIs. I'm storing creating every row whenever any new company got name change. I'm creating that row, and every column I'm saving a 3 company name for current name, previous name 1, previous name 2, like this. And I'm just trying to pull those company row in that custom CRM card. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, okay. So the CRM card is displaying when a company's been renamed, so you can still see all of the associated information with it.
Yeah. So here is that I just created one simple spot CRM card. So I have one table stored here. So whenever any company name got changed, my workflow with code actually automatically changed that values here, and it's going to reflect here. I'm still working on, that's why it's not showing that, but it's working. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Is that a common use case that you've heard from customers, that they're looking for that kind of ability?
Yeah, I actually had one more issue, like they are asking for a few more properties, but I asked them actually to, if you wanted to, if a HubSpot will build a feature like you can pull out a historical reports, like something like this. So, but that will be more complex to see. But if a company record maybe one property may be changed multiple times in a few days, how you will see in report also, that's not an ideal solution to show in reports also. So I think this will be the good solution to show, because we actually needing only former 3 company names, not every company name for the first company. I think that's a pretty great solution.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you for demoing. I think that shows like the power that the UI extensions have really unlocked. And so being able to do that is a great one. All right. I'm keeping an eye on time, and I want to make sure that Lily and Winnie, I give you enough time to ask all your questions. So I'm going to go ahead. So thank you so much to everyone who volunteered. It's always really rewarding to be able to see what you're actually building with our stuff. So I know we didn't get to everyone. I would say you're welcome to guess my email based off my name or LinkedIn. I always love hearing examples from you all, and we definitely want to hear pain points. I always say we're product, we're not sales. So if you'd like to send us more demos, you're more than welcome to. So let me go back to, I will share these, and Lily's gonna be up first. So if you need me to change a slide, just let me know. But I guess real quick in terms of how this is gonna work is we will be posting our questions on the slide. You are more than welcome to respond in the chat, and similarly, we'll ask for a couple volunteers to come off mute and tell us. So as you can see, you can use all the same functions that you have here in terms of unmuting. So we'll go ahead and I'll hand it over to Lily.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So for context, perhaps, I work with a few different teams that have enabled a lot of the customization that Katherine showed in the walkthrough earlier. So I was really excited to see all of the love and chatter about our new unified record page editor. My teams have been working towards that for quite some time. So a lot of my questions are going to be around customization, additional functionality I'd like to hear. I already saw some of the Q&A that I'd love to dig into more, as well as the chat. So I guess to kick things off, we kind of already touched on this a little bit with our customer demos, but I'm curious, what existing functionality are you currently leveraging to ensure that your record and your preview sidebars match your business needs? So if there are use cases perhaps that haven't already been highlighted, I'm curious to hear about those, but perhaps tagging along to that, within that customization process, what would make it easier, faster, or simpler for you to do that job? I too cannot see the raise hand function. So Kyle, if you see anybody that raises their hand that's curious to come off, feel free. Otherwise I can.
Yeah, not seeing raised hands. Jeremy in the chat says more conditional logic options.
Yeah, that was actually a hot topic in the Q&A. So I would love to hear more about what folks are thinking around conditional logic and how they'd like to leverage it. Any brave souls to come off mute?
I've got a number of use cases.
Cool, I'd love to hear
Yep.
them.
Deal stage, layouts depending on like the team or user. Standard stuff like that. Like it's easier to customize kind of like one giant layout or like a central baseline layout and then have things be added or removed. If we're talking like accounts, right? Like the customer success team needs to see a whole slew of different information than like BDRs would be looking for.
Mhm.
Able to prioritize the information that they need up front and center versus have everything laid out or buried across different tabs or things like that. Be huge. And then from a deal standpoint, go ahead.
Sorry, just don't want to cut you off, but I'm curious about the first two you mentioned. When you mentioned deal stage,
Yeah.
Are you and different layouts? Are you thinking that because today for the record page, you can customize a default view or you can assign it to specific teams? Are you thinking about being able to create a deal view based off of deal stage, or were you thinking about it differently?
Yeah, for deal stages, the use case there would be, creating a generic, layout, but changing kind of the order or prioritizing information, putting the things up front and center based on the relevancy of the stage.
Yep.
So a lot of it's like you're collecting information, but once you advance and you're in the proposal stage, then maybe I want to prioritize the DocuSign widget or something like that and kind of like show that and put that in front of them, and then suppress things that aren't relevant anymore. And then once you close out the deal, maybe make everything available again, just stuff like that. So it speeds up theoretically would speed up the AE's ability to kind of click through and get their information put in and updated.
Cool. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Thanks for expanding on it. Let's see.
I just brought Carrie Jones on.
Awesome. Carrie, let's hear it.
Actually, I don't have a question. Sorry, I was trying to read everybody's questions.
Oh, good.
Sorry, I must have put my hand up by mistake. I apologize.
No worries. So I took a couple of notes on like the conditional logic side, just in the vein of time, since I have more questions. What I'll say here is that conditional display logic is something that our teams are planning to explore. We have a few different avenues that we're thinking about. Pipeline stage is certainly something at a high level. As many of you know, conditional display logic already exists for property cards in the left sidebar. So we're thinking about it on a card basis. We're also thinking about it on a by tab basis. So perhaps in a similar way to what Katherine said, I'd love to talk more with folks that really have use cases around this that want to leverage it, because we're going to be doing a bit more research on it, hopefully later this year. Any other kind of topics aside from conditional display logic that would make things faster or simpler for folks?
I brought Christy on. Oh, it seems like lots of people are raising their hands now. Oh, and the box disappeared. I'll figure out how to sort through those. But Christy, if you want to unmute, you're first.
Christy, are you there?
Oh, Christy's having some sort of permission issue with her mic, I think.
Hmm.
We've got Ashley and Steven.
Let's see. Ashley, are you there? Do you want to come off mute and share a little bit? Okay.
Also seem to be having a mic issue there.
Uh-oh.
It's interesting. I can see as I give people presenter mode, if their mic is grayed out, it looks like Lisa has this same problem. I do not know what's going on. Sorry, everyone.
Steven, can you come off mute? No,
Steven looks promising.
Okay. Steven, your mic looks green. Can we hear you? All right. You're talking. Well, that might make it a little tough for our questions.
The mics don't work suddenly.
Unmute. Let's see.
Debbie has
Testing,
decided
1,
we have
2.
collaborated. Oh, hello.
All right, there we go. For some reason, it moved my speaker off of my headset. All right. Okay. What was the question again?
That's okay. So really just talking about customization that you've done thus far, and what would make those actions easier, faster, or simpler
Yes.
for you to do.
So one of the things that we have done specifically in like the demo section that I talked to you about. So I had to create, so in the deal, in my deal section, I created, can I share? Can I share? Is that okay? Do I have the ability to do that? I don't think so. All right. Anyways.
Oh, I can. Let me try to stop sharing so you can.
Okay.
See if you can do that now.
There we go. Okay. So one of the things that we do, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So when I, as part of the what type of product category and what type of manufacturer, so when I created this, I had to subsequently go into the demo section and create these under so I had to create a separate thing for the deals, and then I had to go in and I couldn't have it the same thing, if that makes sense. So I had to create a property here that had samples / product manufacturer, and then over here is a separate product manufacturer. So when I go in to update one, I have to go in and update another. So if there was, and I don't know this, but if there was a way to have them connected, so that way, if we get a new manufacturer in that we're demoing product, I can put it in both these categories here, like only have to do it once. So what I'm having to do is people are like, well, you know, the manufacturers that are over here are not necessarily the same manufacturers that are over here, unless I go in and manually put them in.
Mm-hmm.
So two different, I guess, if I don't want to say this, two different property cards that don't talk to each other, even though they're technically under deals. I would love to be able to say, pull this data from another card. Okay. And that way I only have to update one, because God forbid, I love my salespeople deeply. If I don't update one of these, I will hear about it quickly. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, this isn't here. And so I have to go back and forth and make sure I update both of them. And it may just be, for me, it would be easier to have that connectivity, that, so if you just, you know, connect this data to this other card.
Yep, I gotcha. Cool. Thank you for sharing. I think that, well, I'll preface with, I'm more of an expert in the customization space than in the space on property updates and how they should be connected. I do know that one of our teams recently released sync properties that might help there. Potentially a workflow as well, but I'll do a little bit of marinating on if there's some pieces on the customization side that we could also solve for. All right, we have about 5 more minutes for me, and I want to make sure that Winnie has time because she has some really cool things to share. Perfect. So for the next piece that my teams are starting to think about, everything that we've really done up until this point has been about enabling you, the admins, to configure the CRM for your teams. And so now we're starting to think about user level customization. Now, some of that exists today in HubSpot. For example, on the left sidebar, in the preview sidebar, you can give users the ability to add and remove properties. But I'm curious, what other types of user level customization would you like to see within the CRM? And then also, how do you think about that in relation to your admin customization? How do you want them to work together? Anyone interested?
We have one.
All right, Shubham?
Oh, in the chat, Jeremy mentions, I would like to see what people are changing too. I assume, like, as an admin, be able to see what users have modified things to be.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Shubham, it looks like you are up here. Are you able to unmute and share?
Yeah. So I am thinking, like, we know that we have a user object property creation also possible we can create user properties also. I did some things for there also, but I got one request, like we are using one data warehouse. So the request came from my manager, like we're creating a user or email ID in our data warehouse. Is there any possibility that we can create a user there, and HubSpot actually automatically create the user here?
That is a good question. I'm not sure if I'm able to answer that. I don't know if Katherine or Kyle, you know about what's available for like user creation.
I know we can do it through HubSpot APIs. I know that, but if you're not using that API code, is there any functionality you can use in HubSpot, or I don't know what?
Sure. Yeah, that might have to be one that we follow up on offline, just because it's not exactly my area of expertise. Okay. So yeah, sorry, I can't give you any answers to that one, but we might be able to follow up. Kara, I love your kind of comment here on if you could make it so users can edit their own views. I would like to be able to like turn it off so that they can't edit their own views. If you are comfortable, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you think about that as an admin, or anyone that's upvoting that, because I see we're getting lots of interactions on it, which I think kind of speaks to the spicy take between user customization and admin. Give them some control, but not everything. All right, perhaps we'll follow up afterwards. Oh, there you are, Kara.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So the thing, because you're talking to a bunch of admins, I think we all low-key have control issues. That could just be me, but I think that because we're trying, like my company is currently trying to standardize everything. And so allowing users to then be able to edit their own views and those kind of things, it's just like taking away all the work that we are already doing to try to standardize everything and make it more cohesive and efficient for our sales reps. And for the people that are even in ticketing, like our entire CRM has like every single customization you can think about. Like we utilize the CRM cards like with everything. Like even that's how they add items to their deals. Like we do everything through custom cards in the middle section. And so we just try to standardize so much. And so being able to maybe turn that off so that they can't add in their own functionalities, because something that's even hard for us is like, because products you can't turn on customization where you can like turn off permissions. So like even for like products, that's already something that we had to like make it a little bit more difficult for them to be able to edit set properties. And so yeah, just kind of like those views and whatnot, like them being able to maybe like change around like on the left-hand side, what properties come first, like that's something that I wouldn't mind, but like the actual cards themselves, how they're ordered and the information that they're seeing, having that be actual just standard would be super helpful from our perspective. But yeah, that's why I just said being able to turn it off, just because of the control of that, just because we've had too many use cases where someone removes something and then we're like, oh my gosh, you weren't supposed to remove that. What are you doing? Sort of situations. So
yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I will say that with the release of the unified record page editor, we did add a bit more granular control in there for you as admins to be able to turn on and off user level customization. So you could like lock down the right and left sidebar so that you can reorder. You can turn off user level customization of property cards. And we put a lot of those in because I speak to a lot of admins, and so I understand that challenge. But I think that's a really great call out to differentiate, like you care about the layout, the cards that are showing the content within them, but giving users perhaps some individual control, like reordering properties, so that they like make it to work for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that like still setting it up, but they can like rearrange certain things so it's more efficient for them, because each sales rep or each person within service, like they're all different and they could want to see a specific property first rather than something later, just based on even like managers and whatnot. So being able to see like something higher level for managers might be super helpful when they're going into a deal and inspecting it. But just from overall perspective, like being able to just lock down would be important still from our perspective. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Cool.
thank you so
for
much.
sharing. I appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah.
I am going to move on to Winnie, let her share a bit. Katherine, would you mind just moving ahead one slide to my last one? I'm going to just have this be here and have folks put in the chat. I saw a little bit in the Q&A about this, but we have new spaces that you can work from in HubSpot, like prospecting, customer success, help desk. I am curious to hear from you all how you want to customize those spaces and what you'd like to do. So feel free to just drop some thoughts in the chat, and I will let Winnie take it over from here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Lily. All right. Hi, everyone. Winnie here. My space is going to be a little bit different because we're actually tackling a new area. And so I'm going to run through what I think is the problem that we're seeing and then a potential solution that we're thinking about to get reactions. So the one for us is process in HubSpot sometimes is hard. If you need to sequence a certain amount of steps or provide instructions, I saw a lot of things with notes, custom text on cards, rich text editor requests. Sometimes it's hard to give the right information to your reps so that they know what to do when they're in HubSpot. And there's a lot of clicks and screens that they have to navigate to get data in. We see that as a problem. And so next slide. We're starting to investigate the space. I have some wireframes I want to walk through, and I just want to kind of get your thoughts on, would this help? Would this solve the problem? Or is it something else that we need to do to help tackle this? Next slide. All right. So a common one that I see and I've heard on this call as well is lead qualification flow. You need to gather some data, do some things with it. Next slide. So specifically, you start off with collecting data by being on a call. So maybe you're following a particular methodology for standardization, like folks are saying. So you need to get the budget, the purchasing authority person, their needs, and a timeline. And once you have this information, you make a decision on, do I qualify or disqualify this lead? All right, next slide, Katherine. All right, so you say you click this button, you qualify because they're good, you move on to the next stage. And now that you've qualified, the next steps are, I need to create the company record. If it's B2B, I have to create the deal and update all the right properties. So you get to this point where you put in all the company data that you need, create an associate, move to the next page, put in all the information for the deal. So the owner, required fields, amount, create an associated to both the contact and the company because it gets qualified. And then all of the fields that you got over with the BANT get copied over onto your deal or the company record, wherever you need it to be. Contact that comes in as a lead, the lead stage or lead status gets updated to, in progress. All right, next. And then as a rep, you have to wrap it all up. You send your follow-up email, maybe that pulls in a template, that pulls in properties that you've updated so that it's all here. You send your meeting recording. This has been curated by the admin for a particular email at the end of the step. At the bottom, maybe you have recommended actions. Let's say your deal is a big deal. You can get solutions engineer or sales engineer support. So you can submit that request if you want it. Maybe you want to enroll them in a particular sequence that your admin has selected. You want to request a trial as well. And then with that, you can finish up. You've qualified the lead, and now you can move on. So I think my question for you is, this is an assumption that we have of this is maybe a need. And so I'd love to hear just like ABC for all of these, how much you agree or disagree with these statements. 1 being strongly disagree, 5 being strongly agree. And then I'll just pause for a second for people to maybe put that in the chat, and then we'll take a look. I might need letters associated with the numbers to know what they are with. Appreciate that.
Parker, I like C. I hope so.
I guess for some of the 2s in the chat, would anyone want to come off mute and explain why they gave the score they did?
All right. Hey there. Can you hear me? All right, great. So I work at a company where we have field sales reps, and they're out talking to people face to face. So I gave it 2 because they don't really use HubSpot in the same way as somebody who does inside sales. So we have to really cut down on data input as much as possible. And just going through each of those screens seemed like it was going to be a lot of work, a lot of extra work for them on top of everything they're already doing out in the field. So that's why I gave it a 2.
Great feedback. Thank you.
It does kind of bring up the question, and all this customization is just in the desktop version, right? It doesn't flow through really to the mobile app.
I can take that one on. So we are working with the mobile team for some areas, but I think, as you all know, mobile development takes a long time. So correct. A lot of this right now is in the desktop version.
All right, Katherine, I'm just going to move to the next slide for some more open-ended questions on this. Yes, I think with this type of flow, what do you think are the use cases for this? And then what are some of those obstacles or roadblocks that I should be thinking about as I'm building this? So like I think as Rod said, a lot of steps, maybe feels like a lot of information to put in. Would love to hear what people think in the chat. And then if you want to come off mute, we'll take a couple of answers live as well.
Getting a request for you to review the flow one more time, maybe just quickly.
Sure.
I guess maybe the recommendation I would have is, Kara, it's probably less about the specific example. I know sometimes that we can get bogged in the details. I think the concept that, when you correct me if I'm wrong, we're trying to show is if you can embed a process directly into something like the record or a workspace or essentially any of the customization locations we show, does anything come to mind? I see Daniel has requested, so I'll go ahead and approve that. But I think, let me know if that doesn't clarify it, but that's probably more of what we're asking here.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention a use case that I have now for a client of mine, where just this week I was talking to a development team to develop a custom flow. And the process is vendor validation. So the client that I work with has a series of vendors that they work with to implement their services, and they go through a validation process. This validation process starts from a form that collects a lot of data that is at contact level, but it needs to be mapped at company level as well. And then it needs to be remapped at deal level, or not necessarily just remapped at deal level, but rather checked at deal level, just to make sure that the vendors that are associated to each deal, each like implementation delivery deal, are validated. So they meet certain criteria that are existing in those properties. So I'm not sure if this fits like the use case that you were showing, but it's a use case that it would be great if this validation process could be in a way defined within HubSpot, rather than having the need to build like a custom app for parts of this flow that actually takes data from HubSpot, does something, sends data back in HubSpot, does something, and it's a lot of movement around pulling data out of HubSpot, doing something with it, and then pushing it back into HubSpot. And actually, I have two more very little use cases here that fit into the same concept. There are some parts in HubSpot that you actually have to, again, pull data out of HubSpot just to send it back to HubSpot. One example is, Kyle, you remember the example that I mentioned with importing offline events. Yeah, basically to import offline events in HubSpot, you can import a set of contacts, put those contacts into a list, create a Zapier Zap, then pull the contacts from that list in HubSpot and just send it back to HubSpot as form submissions. Just because there's no option to import form submissions into HubSpot. Similarly, with marketing events, you can actually import contacts into marketing events, but you can only import contacts from an Excel file. I cannot import contacts that I already have in HubSpot. I just want to say, I want to import this list of contacts from HubSpot into this event. And this is this little customization that right now is not available.
Appreciate that. All right, I think since we only have 2 minutes left, and it seems like we might have gone through that flow a little bit quickly. Katherine, could we just run back through it? And then I think my request is if anybody has more feedback, I'll have a Google form that I'm going to put into the chat as well. So I'm going to just go ahead and add that there for feedback. But I think what we're trying to do with this is to take data that you might need to input across multiple different types of objects and bring it into one view, whether that's a multi-step flow to kind of simplify that process, or you put it all into one screen and it's just 6 questions that you ask. It could be kind of either one of those. So if we just go to the next step, Katherine, the goal with like bringing in actions here is a little bit of that conditionality. So if it qualifies, then you move on to the next step where you have to put in more data to complete the process. If you disqualified, then it goes into a different flow where maybe you update the lead status to disqualified, and then that's the end of what reps have to do. All right, next up. For this part here, for me, what I've seen is that in lead qualification, especially in a B2B business, you end up updating or creating 3 different types of records. It's the contact record gets updated, you create a company record, and you create a deal record. So that can be a lot of different types of clicks to create those records. And so creating them and associating them directly from the screen, the goal is like you might save some time for your reps and having to navigate through everything. And then next, I think part of this part here around like having fields that from the beginning that get copied over is like, yeah, you don't want people to do duplicative data entry. So if they've already put it in one place, can you take those 4 fields and maybe update the company record and the deal record at the same time, save them the energy from having to go and do that. And then this one here is just bringing in the rest of their like activity creation flow, the actions that they have to take into here, completely optional. But what we're looking at is like, do we need to provide a container like this for you to be able to sequence the type of work that you want to do? And if you can, and if you do, like how complex or how simple should that look? So things that we've seen requests like custom text on cards or adding a rich text card so you can give a little bit more instruction. Could you do that in this type of flow instead? All right, that's all. Thank you.
All right. We are at time. Thank you 3 for being here so much. Thanks everyone for your participation. I think this was a good conversation. I love that this is a thing we do now with people coming on screen and sharing thoughts in the chat. It's very interactive. But we're going to let you all go. Go enjoy your Tuesday and hope to see you all back next week. Talk to you all later.
Thanks so much, all. It was a pleasure.
Bye, everybody.